Well, and it just wouldn't be a holiday episode of Rebel Force Radio if we didn't remind you of your obligation, your duty, each and every year as we say goodbye to the old year and say hello to the new year, to blow up the Death Star at midnight. And last year, I think it was last year, Jim.
Yeah.
That we happened to be doing this together. You were at your place. I'm at my place. I decided to do this for the first time last year. And I asked my daughter if she wanted to stay up with me to midnight. It was the first year she got to stay up to see the, well, not the ball drop, but see the Death Star explode. It's the first time I ever did it. And we were sort of texting back and forth. And you happened to be recording video at the moment that it struck midnight, the Death Star blew up, and that video, I do have it. Speaking of cameos, I do have a little cameo in there because I'm texting you right at the moment when the Death Star blew up. But that video that you took on your phone went viral and got millions of hits.
Yeah. 3.2 million at least. And that's just on Facebook, but it really got spread around everywhere. You could see the video on YouTube now, and it's titled Happy Star Wars New Year, Blow Up the Death Star at Midnight. Perfect timing, because it was perfect timing. The thing that made the video so great is that you have the atomic clock on the app on my phone, and my son Michael was shooting the television set with his phone. And he's shooting video of the television set. It's not like he's Elvis Presley or anything. You know, he was pulling out a revolver and opening it up on our color TV. He was shooting video. So I put the atomic clock right underneath so you see it all time out so perfectly. And it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. So that's what you want to do. You want to blow up the Death Star at midnight. And there's a special way you have to go about doing that. This is a McInerney family tradition that dates back probably to around 1999 is when I first started doing that, this thing with VHS. I was a young father, a young parent, and I had an infant, and we were not going out on New Year's Eve. That was a shock to my system. I'm a New Year's Eve party animal, of course. But, hey, you cross that threshold into parenthood, things do change, including staying home on New Year's Eve. So I said, well, you know what? Gosh darn, I'm going to make the best of it, and I'm going to do things that I really like eat steak and lobster and drink margaritas and watch Star Wars. And it got me thinking, how cool would it be if I could time out the original Star Wars, Episode 4, A New Hope, and time it out just so perfectly that the Death Star explodes right at the stroke of midnight. So I did the math and I figured it out, and it worked. And it worked so well that first year we did picture-in-picture. So we had the ball dropping in the corner, or the countdown to midnight locally, and then we had the ball exploding in the main screen, and it timed out perfectly. So it became a family tradition. And then once I found myself online and participating in Star Wars podcasting, then I realized that this was a little family treasure that I wanted to share with everyone. And it's taken off like wildfire. And I think especially in the wake of the viral video from last New Year's Eve, I think more people will be doing it this year than ever before. I'm happy that a lot of people are doing it. And a lot of people look to alter the deal, or they look to customize. So they say, oh, okay, well, you're blowing up the Death Star in A New Hope. I'm going to blow up the Death Star in Return of the Jedi just to be different. But you know what? Here, it just, nothing works as well as blowing up the Death Star in A New Hope. And I'll tell you why. Blowing up the Death Star in Jedi it's great. I mean, I love Jedi, don't get me wrong. But the problem with it is that there's a ton of downtime between the Death Star blowing up and the universe celebrating. A lot of people like to point, hey, look, the whole universe is celebrating in my New Year's Eve countdown.
Uh-huh.
But you have to wait. There's all that doubt. You have to sit through Vader's funeral, bummer. Han and Leia talking, he's my brother. Your brother? Well, what the hell? I just saw you. Okay. You have to wait for the celebration, and that defeats the whole purpose, okay? Some people are like, hey, what about Star Killer Base in The Force Awakens? Take that. I am modern and progressive. And I say I appreciate the effort. But the only film that works for me at midnight is the original Star Wars. It works perfectly. Star Killer Base takes too long, and it kind of implodes instead of exploding. So you don't get that big pop. It's far less of an impact. Far less.
I totally agree in both cases. And that, me, I love Return of the Jedi, but I have I've watched that film enough since being aware of this tradition, and I always think like, that's not a good New Year's pop. That's not a good stroke of midnight moment. That one in Empire Strikes Back or in Star Wars where you've got that tight close up of Peter Cushing is Tarkin right before it explodes. It doesn't get any better than that. The intensity.
It just builds and builds and builds, and then that big bang. It's the big bang. Immediately followed by no dialogue, celebration at Yavin Base, and then the big throne room bash of the century. What a great way to ring it. And you have that John Williams triumphant, the most triumphant Star Wars music that Williams ever composed, perhaps the most triumphant music he's ever composed, is that throne room scene, that music. It's such a great feeling. And the champagne is flowing. In my house, it's a tradition to make sure the first thing you eat in the new year is a green grape. And you're supposed to it's supposed to bring money to you.
Is that an Irish thing?
No, it comes from Wendy. So I was wondering if it's an Italian thing. Yeah. But I've never heard anyone talk about it before. But that's always our thing. So it's almost like when I crush down on that green grape, the Death Star is exploding again in my mouth. It's wonderful. What a great way to ring in the new year. I'm not kidding you. And some people have even tried to twist this around and incorporate Marvel Universe, and they want to time it out for when Thanos does his snap in Avengers Infinity War. I know I'm speaking a different language to you because you still have not seen what is probably the most earth-shaking superhero film to ever be released, and you're still sitting on the sidelines for that.
I gotta go see that.
You don't?
Is that at the theater?
No, God damn. All right, so blowing up the Death Star at midnight. So people are saying, "Oh, the Thanos snap." That's a bummer. That's a bummer, and I'm not going to get into it for why that's a bummer because Swank still has it. He's like the last guy in the universe who hasn't seen the Infinity War. So, the original Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. The directions for how to blow up the Death Star at midnight are available at rebelforceradio.com. I will make sure that that article is on our homepage so you can easily access it. The start times, digital edition is the newest. Like I said, I've been doing this since the VHS days. The digital edition, in my book, is the best way to time it out perfectly because there is absolutely no lag time from when you hit play to win because with a Blu-ray or a DVD, there's sometimes a little bit of lag time. So what I like to do is I like to put the disc in and I get the film all queued up. So the first thing you see when you hit play is that Lucasfilm logo. You're not sitting through any sort of FBI warnings or any kind of trailers. Right, you have to. Accuracy is essential here. And you'll find that there are variants with the different mediums. There's not just one set time. There's a difference in all of them. So with the digital edition, you want to press play on New Year's Eve at 10:02 and 43 seconds. 10:02:43 p.m. Okay? And please don't send me an email saying, "Well, what time zone is that for?" Oh my God. Oh my God. We've gotten them, folks. We've gotten them in the past. You know who you are. All right. All right. So, and then the DVD, of course, which is the special edition one. Make sure you're not using the
despecialized.
The despecialized,
edition,
that's it. Yeah, that's the one.
Or that one that
I love those.
Put out that has the original theatrical cuts. They're like real letter boxed, and
Yes.
it's like the size of a postage stamp in your middle of your TV.
It's non-anamorphic.
Yeah, right.
And the tech geeks were going ape, you know what, crazy when that movie came out. It was like that. But, all right, so that special edition DVD, this is the one where Han shoots whenever. Special edition DVD, press play at 10:02:48 p.m. Blu-ray disc, press play at 10:02:42 p.m. So you see there's a slight variance in seconds with each one, and you have to be extremely accurate. You have to know your machine and have it queued up. If you're using physical medium, have it queued up so that the first thing you see when you hit play is that Lucasfilm logo. But you might be dealing with some sort of lag or delay after you hit the play button when you're dealing with physical medium, depending on your actual unit. You would know best. It's like, hey, you know your kids better than anyone else does. You know your Blu-ray disc player better than anyone else. So plan accordingly. I recommend strongly the digital edition. Maybe just for laughs, I'll do the old VHS one again this year. No, no. I mean, I would miss it by like a minute some years. There are some years when they'd be like, "Oh, Jim, you totally missed it." I said, Listen, the next year does not start in this house until that Death Star blows up. People would be like, Happy New Year. No. Stop looking at clocks. We're on unofficial time now. Death Star is still, it's T-minus 10. Oh, so many good memories. But that's what you do when you're a parent and you have to stay home. I know a lot of people like to go out and party on New Year's. And if you do.
What's that like? I haven't done that. And jeez.
We call that amateur hour sometimes because it's a lot of people are partying maybe harder than they're used to. And they're just be careful is all I'm saying. Be very safe.
Oh, yeah. You're right. The people that, I gotcha. Yeah.
That's why we say amateur hour. Mm-hmm. I'm a professional and I'm staying home. So figure that out.
Well, it is a great tradition. I did it I can't believe that it was just last year was my first time, but it was so much fun. And like I said, I got my daughter involved. We were having all kinds of fun. We were texting Jim back and forth and leading up to the big moment. So it's a great tradition to start in your house. So check it out. We'll have the details, rebelforceradio.com. The Death Star will explode at midnight.
You're all clear, kid. Now let's blow this thing and go home.